Welcome back to Universe. I'm Andrew, and today I'm playing Disney Lorcana. So this is a trading card game from Ravensburger that is supposed to be coming out in August 2023. It is currently April 2023, which means there are several caveats to go over. First of all, this is very much not the final version of the game. A lot of these cards have been put together by and have been officially previewed. So I think this is an example of a card that has been officially previewed, at least for the most part. And there are also cards that have been partially previewed. People have had to reconstruct them and guess at parts of what they do. In fact, I've got a note card over here that is the creator of this particular tabletop simulator module's guess at the lore values of what some of these cards are. So I am going to be using their guesses. But again, that is one of the many caveats. You can't take any of these cards as final, certainly in terms of their quality, because some of them have been cobbled together. Like this is obviously a very low quality looking card. So yeah, not final. The rules were unofficially leaked a couple days ago, and they look legitimate, but there's the possibility that it wasn't final. There's the possibility that it was made up, and there's a possibility that things could change before release. So we're taking an early look at the game, but this is not an official early look, and it might not be accurate. And one more huge caveat: this is a trading card game, and anyone who's played trading card games knows they are more fun when you have a good deck. Well, I've cobbled these decks together out of the limited number of cards that have been previewed. And so these are very much not going to be good decks. These are not official pre-constructed decks. These are not high quality tournament decks. And so when you watch the gameplay, you're getting a sense of how the game mechanisms work, not necessarily how fun it will actually be, because again, you get to play with better cards and better synergies when you play with a officially pre-constructed deck or a deck you've built yourself. So with all of that out of the way, I want to be doing the best I can to play according to the rules as I understand them with the cards as they are presented here. I did put two decks together out of the preview cards. So we've got a sapphire and ruby deck, and these are obviously not real cards. The creator of this module, I think they used Pokemon energy cards to look like the colors from Lorcana, assuming there might be resource cards, but there are not, at least in the leaked rules that I'm working from today. So, but I still kept these out just to represent the colors that are in the deck. You can build a deck of one or two colors, and this deck is ruby and sapphire, and we're going to be playing against amethyst and steel. And so I decided we'll just have the ruby sapphire deck go first. I drew an opening hand. You are allowed to modify your opening hand by taking any number of cards, putting them to your bottom of your deck, drawing that many cards, and then shuffling. But I think I'll just keep the hands for now. So any card that has that circle around the cost in the top left corner, that 4 with the golden embroidery around it, that indicates it can be played as a resource into your inkwell. This card, for example, does not have that symbol, so it cannot be played as a resource. So the player on their first turn, the first thing they're going to be doing is thinking which of those cards do they want to put down. These 3 on the right here are not eligible, but let's go ahead and do this Mickey Mouse card. Seems like a cool card, but it costs 8, so we won't be able to play it for a while. So I'm going to show my opponent that it does have that inkwell iconography, and then I'll flip it over, and now it's just going to be face down for the rest of the game. If I want to make an ink or resource, I will exhaust this card for 1. But I don't have anything that costs 1. So I have these 1 jump ahead cards that cost 2, but I only have 1. So we'll pass the turn over to player 2. And I've already drawn 7 cards for them as well. They only have 1 card that cannot be played as ink. They've got 2 copies of Captain Hook, which cost 1, and 1 Olaf. So Captain Hook has 1 attack value and 2 defense value. And he has this Challenger 2 ability, which helps him fight better. Olaf has an extra health, but he doesn't have that extra fighting. So the question is, the way that we win this game is by generating 20 lore points. You can see that icon on the right side of the Olaf card. In the middle of the text box on the right side, vertically up and down, there's that 1 single icon there. That indicates that he can be exhausted to make 1 lore. Captain Hook also has that symbol, and we don't have anybody with 2, but you can see that, for example, this Fire the Cannons doesn't have any. And neither does Magic Mirror. So on the right side in the middle of the text box vertically, there's no symbols there. So either of these can quest equally well, that is generate lore. They can make 1. So we might as well get this stronger fighter out first. And I don't think I need 3 cards that cost 1. So I'm going to play one of my Captain Hooks face down as ink after showing my opponent that it has that icon. Then I'll exhaust it for 1 ink and play Captain Hook. He can't quest this turn. If my opponent had any dream or creatures or characters of their own, I wouldn't be able to challenge that or attack it either, because he's just come into play. His ink is still drying, so he can't be used for any effect that would cause him to exhaust or rotate this turn. And so player 2 can end their turn. Oh, and I did skip one thing as well, which is that when player 2 took their turn, they should have been able to draw a card at the start of their turn. So let's see what they would do. Another Olaf. So that doesn't change anything. The first player on their first turn does skip the draw, but now player 1 gets to draw another. They drew another Mickey. That might just be another ink here. We're definitely going to play 1 jump ahead this turn. So this is a song card. So if we had any characters, we could exert it to play it for free if the character costs 2 or more, because that's 2 is the cost of this card. But I don't have any characters on the Ruby Sapphire side. So I think I will play another Mickey as ink. So now we've got 2. We'll exert both of those to play this card. This is an action, so we're going to play it. Paid the cost for it. We're going to resolve its effect and then put it in the discard pile. Again, we're ignoring the song aspect of it. We're just going to put the top card of our deck into our inkwell face down and exerted. So now we've got 3. And I'll put my discard pile there. Oops. And that's all player 1 can do. So pass over to player 2. So we'll add this to our hand and then draw 1 more. So we got Elsa and Olaf. This can be readied now. And we can play an ink. We can do that at any point on our turn. We have a lot of low cost cards. I can't choose Magic Mirror as ink though. So let's do one of our Olafs. And then we'll exert both of these to play Isma, the Alchemist, Dreamborn Villain Sorcerer, 2/2, quests for 1. Has the Your Excuse ability. Whenever this creature quests, look at the top card of their deck, put it on the top or bottom. And then Captain Hook, we can use him. Our opponent doesn't have any characters to be challenged, so we'll just exert him to quest. And I'm going to tick up my lore counter here. We generated 1 lore. That's 1 of the way toward winning the game. Again, can't use Isma yet, so we'll pass the turn. So player 1 gets to ready and draw. And they've already got 3. They can play their 4th one as well. 4th ink. And I wonder, is Robin Hood going to be good? 4/4 seems pretty big. And if we can play out cards faster than our opponent, we'll get to draw an extra card with the Feed the Poor ability. Aurora has Shift 3. We can play her on top of another Aurora card, but we don't have any more Aurora characters in this deck. I guess that would be a nice way to bring her out more cheaply and being able to use her faster. I assume you'd get to use her the same turn you play her if you shift her out. I'm not sure about that though. So otherwise, she's just going to be a 3/5 for 5 with lore 2, and all your other characters have the ward ability. So your opponent can challenge them all, but can't choose them for actions and other effects. For now, we're probably going to be playing Scar. So he is a 5/3, a nice big combat rating. So what are we going to use for ink on that? I mean, probably the other Scar, because next turn we can play Aurora, and the turn after that we can play Robin Hood. So we don't need another 4 cost. So we play that, exert all 4, and play Scar and pass back. So player 2 will ready, draw, and they are only going to be playing their 3rd ink. Another Olaf. So our best options are probably Elsa or Fire the Cannons. Elsa, she can freeze opposing characters, but Scar could easily take her out with a challenge before she'd get to freeze anything. So I think I'm going to play Fire the Cannons. This is an action. It costs 3. This is one of the ones especially that was unclear, at least apparently so, because whoever made this mod doesn't even know how much damage it's supposed to deal. They know it's supposed to deal either 2 or 3 damage, but a lot of this card is just guesswork. But I'm going to play it as printed. I'm going to say that it's 3, because I feel like if it costs 3, it should do at least 3 damage. So I'm going to play Fire the Cannons as an action, discard that, and deal 3 damage to Scar. So Scar, well, we'll use these as damage. Oops, these are really big. All right, I'm going to use this as damage instead. And I'm going to mark that there's 3 damage on Scar. And in this game, damage is permanent. So this damage would not go away at the end of the turn. So some games have temporary damage until end of turn. Some games have permanent damage. Here it's permanent. So if Scar were to survive this, he would still have 3 damage. But as you can see, his defense is only 3 anyway, so he's actually going to be defeated from that and go straight to the discard pile. And then player 2 can continue their turn, and they're just going to quest with both of these characters. Again, each of them for 1, putting them up to 3 lore out of 20. Back to player 1, their scar is gone. And there's another scar. I think this one's going to be ink. And they need to get somebody down, so they're going to play Aurora. Protective Embrace isn't going to help because they don't have any other characters. Shift 3 doesn't do anything, so for now she's just going to be a 3/5. She might be able to quest for 2 at some point, but they probably need to slow their opponent down. But for now, that's going to be all they do. So player 2 will ready and draw. You don't have to play an ink every turn. So let's see, they've got just 3 so far. They can play a 4th one. I think they're happy to have gotten a 1-cost character down, but yeah, they're playing all their extra 1-costs as ink here. But Magic Mirror might help them catch up on cards later. So this costs 2, and then for 4 and Exert It, you get to draw a card. So 4 isn't a steep ink cost, but if you've got nothing else to do, that could be nice. Probably, when I totally forgot to use Isma's ability, they quested last turn, and it says, you're excused when this character quests, look at the top card of your deck, put it on the top or bottom. So the top card was actually the Olaf that I just drew. So let's say we did look at it and we chose to put it on the bottom. At least we'll get some card variety out of that and draw a different card instead. Just another Hercules. I was thinking actually about playing a 3-cost and a 4-cost this turn. I wonder if we even want to play another ink, because we can afford to play everything. The only question is there going to be a point where we want to start magic mirroring and doing other stuff? Probably. I think I'm actually going to play Elsa as ink. So now we've got some options. We could quest again with Captain Hook. Oh, he can challenge for 3 damage instead of just 1. It says 1, but Challenger 2 gives him +2. So he could put 3 damage onto Aurora, but he would take 5, or he'd take 3 in return, and he would be defeated, and she would have 3 damage on her and would not be defeated. So we get to take advantage of his Challenger ability, but not to great effect. Same with Isma. They could challenge Aurora and put 2 damage on her, but that's not enough. If I really don't want Aurora, I could challenge with both of them one at a time, and they'd both be defeated one at a time, but their combined damage would defeat Aurora. But I think I'll make my opponent spend their actions, and instead I'm going to quest again up to 5. This time I will use Isma's ability. We'll look at the top card, and we got this other Captain Hook, which double the powder. When you play this character, you can return an action card named Fire the Cannons from your discard to your hand. We do have that, so I'm going to leave that on the top of my deck and pass the turn to my opponent, who can then ready their ink and draw a card. And now they have a little bit of a better position because they've got a nice big chunky character, 3/5. Now, player 2 did play Hercules. The bodyguard ability says this character may enter play exerted. Oh, I think they did mean to do that. And an opposing character who challenges one of your characters must choose one with bodyguard of Able. And that totally reminds me, I was totally wrong. Talking through player 1's turn, these characters could not have challenged Aurora because characters can only challenge exerted characters, and Aurora was not exerted. So they could not have challenged her. And in fact, by questing, they've become challengeable. So if player 2 had chosen not to quest with them, player 1 wouldn't be able to challenge them. But I think player 2 is happy to have quested with them. They're happy to have exerted Hercules. Yeah, I think so. Happy to have exerted Hercules to trigger that bodyguard ability. And I think Aurora's is going to go ahead and, well, let's see. We have Dragonfire as well, which just banishes a character. Or we could play another ink and play Robin Hood. We would have, if we played an ink and Robin Hood, we'd be down to 2 cards in hand. And then I think we'd be able to trigger that ability to feed the poor. So I think that's what we want to do. The only other card we can play as ink is the other Robin Hood. So we'll do that and exert all 6 to play Robin Hood. Feed the Poor will let us draw a card because player 2, let's see, how many cards does player 2 have? They've got 3 cards. So 2 is less than 3, and we'll draw 1 more. And there's another Mickey. So now we're actually a couple turns away from playing Mickey, although he costs 8. We still need 2 more ink, and we don't have any cards in hand that can be ink except for him. So we might not. But yeah, he's got 4 lore So you can make 4 per turn. Only 5 quests from him will win you the game. And evasive means he can't even be challenged except by enemies with evasive. So pretty good. For now, we're gonna use Aurora to challenge Hercules. We have to choose Hercules because of the bodyguard ability, and that's gonna put 3 damage onto him. But he only has the 3 toughness, so he's defeated. His 3 attack will put 3 onto Aurora, and that resolves that challenge. And now Aurora is challengeable because she's exerted, but Robin Hood is not. And we'll end our turn. All right, we'll stand up and draw, and we get that Captain Hook. So Captain Hook is nice because we can pick up the fire the cannons, but we won't be able to play it this turn. Or I could play another Hercules, or I could use Isma to finish off Aurora, which makes sense because otherwise she can pick off Captain Hook, assuming we quest with him. Or I can just have Captain Hook pick her off now. But again, I could quest with him and then she'll want to pick him off anyway. But if I use Isma to finish off Aurora and I keep Captain Hook, who will probably be attacked by Robin Hood, and I'd actually rather keep Isma around for the You're Excused ability. So I'm going to have Captain Hook challenge Aurora. Challenger 2 means he's going to hit her for 3 instead of 1. And so she's going to be defeated. She's going to deal 3 back. And he's also defeated. But I think that means we got to take out that more powerful character. We'll go ahead and quest with Isma, going up to 6. Look at the top card. We get a Tinkerbell, who can cost 3, 2, 4, and she can exert to draw a card and then discard a card. It's not bad, but let's keep that on top. Not thrilling. I kept this deck pretty low to the ground. I wanted to see how to play that out. So a lot of these cards are pretty cheap, so they're going to have a tough time contending with these higher cost enemy characters. But hopefully the fact that we're already up to 6 is an okay advantage. It seems a little low, though. I do wonder if we're going to want to play 2 characters at some point. And that point could be... It can't be this turn, can it? I could play Isma, Hercules. I don't even love playing Hercules, though, because his bodyguard ability, he's just going to get beaten up by Robin Hood. And we can also play the Magic Mirror. And neither of these can be played as ink. But I'm not thrilled about getting them down. So that 3 pays for Hercules. I don't love this plan, though. Did I just play, where's the Isma? I just played as ink. Kind of want it back. I was just talking through the options. All right, so we got Isma back. I think I'm just going to play Captain Hook, and we get back the fire the cannons for the future. And these I am going to be, oh, did I quest with them both? Oh, I did the questing everything already, and I played Hercules. Maybe I don't want to use his bodyguard. So it says my opponent can't challenge any of my characters that don't have bodyguard. But if Hercules isn't exerted, my opponent can't challenge a bodyguard anyway. So they can challenge whomever they like, which would be Isma. But I might rather them take out Isma than Hercules because he's bigger. But I'm going to have trouble. No, because I can use my cannons to finish off Robin Hood. Let him fight Isma and I'll finish him off with cannons. I'll keep Hercules around. Although 3/3 is bigger than 2/2, but Your Excuse is a pretty strong ability. Anyway, I think I'll stick with that. We'll stick with the 3/3 and pass back. Okay, so they ready and draw 1. There's a card that can be ink. Got a Goofy, and he's a 3/4 evasive, so he can't be challenged except by characters that are evasive, which the opposing Amethyst and Steel deck doesn't have, at least currently. So he'd be a nice character. So you'll notice he doesn't have any lore value, but that's one of the ones that's called out on this note from the Tabletop Simulator module author here. They believe that Goofy would have 2 lore, and I think that seems reasonable. So we're going to play Goofy as having 2 lore, which is a pretty nice card to play. We need to slow our opponent down, and then we can just kind of take over and make lore later. But maybe this Mickey is our plan. He can make 8, or he can make 4 at a time. But if I don't, yeah, so let's play this as ink, and we're going to go on the Mickey plan. So we've got 7 right now. Oh, and we can play 1 jump ahead, and that will guarantee we'll have 8 next turn. So that puts another one out. And then we've still got 5 left to play Dragonfire, banish a chosen character. We'll just banish Hercules. No, we'll banish Captain Hook because he's a 3/4. Robin Hood can exert to challenge. He can only challenge Isma because that's the only one who is exerted. So we'll do that. Isma will deal 2 to Robin Hood. But of course, Robin Hood gets to deal 4 to take out Isma. And then we'll pass the turn with 1 card, Mickey ready to come out. So player 2 can ready and draw. They're going to draw Tinkerbell. So that's what they put there with Isma's You're Excused ability. They just have 4 ink. And you can fire the cannons to deal 3 more and finish off Robin Hood. So I think that's what they want to do. So Robin Hood is defeated. Player 2 feels good about that, but player 1 feels good about knowing that they still have a Mickey up their sleeve. I think we'll quest with Hercules up to 7. And then do we play Tinkerbell or Isma? Oh, I can't play Tinkerbell. I don't have enough. So the question is Magic Mirror or Isma. And I think it's Isma, which means we have to play either case. Actually, we have to play Tinkerbell as ink. No, I could play Isma as ink and then play Magic Mirror. But I think Isma is pretty good. Tinkerbell costs a little bit too much. I mean, not awful, but I think this is going to be a little bit better. We got cards puncturing through each other. And that's all player 2 can do. So player 1 will ready and draw. Oh, messing everything up. And they've drawn Donald. 2-3 with 1 lore for 2 is pretty solid. But that is not the plan. We're slamming down Mickey for 8. Let's make sure I got 8 here. Yep, 8 cards in the little stack. And now we got the big Mickey Mouse, Brave Little Tailor, 8 cost, 5/5, 4 lore, and it can't be challenged except by characters with evasive. When defeat looms and victory hangs by a thread, a hero bolts to the rescue, patching things up through sheer determination, with a nice little pun on the sheer there. So pass back. So that is not good for player 2. See what they can do about that, which is probably not much. So for the cannons, they're going to let them deal another 3, but that's not enough. So I think let's play the mirror. Time has come for the mirror. We don't have enough to pay for it. I could pay for it if I fire the cannons down, but I feel like I need the cannons to have a chance at taking out Mickey. I need cannons and another cannons or another one of the Captain Hooks that lets me pick up a cannons. So I can't afford to play this as ink. I need to use this to beat Mickey. So for now, we're just going to quest to 8. Quest again to 9. And You're Excused. Let's see what this is. Elsa is interesting. This will probably get attacked by Mickey, but it will force them to challenge instead of quest for 4. And when they do, Mickey will take 2, and then we can finish him off with the cannons. If Mickey does not challenge Elsa, then she can just start freezing him every turn. So that's a good one to leave. So we'll pass the turn back. And player 1 now gets to use their Mickey. Drawn Belle. So she is 3 for 2/3, quest 2. And whenever she quests, you can pay 1 less for your next item. This deck doesn't actually have any items in it, but pretty good. So what is player 2 thinking? Player 1 is quested up to 9 already, which is almost halfway. They can catch up pretty quickly with Mickey. They can win in 5 turns, and the opponent's pace in 5 turns, they will have made 10 more, which will put them up to 19. So at this rate, player 1 would win. So I think they're leaning toward questing, and especially since they can now follow up with 2 more 2 more characters, 2 for Donald Duck and 3 for Belle. Or they could challenge with Mickey, but then it is opening him. We don't know that player 2 has cannons, but they could suspect that they might have more cannons or more cannons coming. So let's just quest for 4 and then pass. Player 2 gets to draw their Elsa, and they've got 5. So again, they're not going to be playing any ink or using all of the ink they have. They're just going to play Elsa to make their opponent deal with her in the way we described. Although now they could double team her with Belle and Donald, and they would both survive because they both have 3 defense. They both have 2 damage on them. But there's not a lot player 2 can do about that. Oh, there is something they can do. They can challenge 1 with Hercules right now, and then Hercules will be bodyguarding for Elsa. So let's challenge. Let's take out take out Belle. She has more quest, more lore. So he's going to take 2. And then Isma can quest for 1 up to 10. We'll use the ability to reveal the wardrobe, 3 for a 3/4. And this is another one that has a supposed lore stat this time for 1. Wardrobe with 1 lore. So we're going to play her as having 1. But do we want to leave that there or put her on the bottom? She's a little chunkier than some of our other cards, which is nice. She can also be played as ink, which is nice. Wouldn't mind something a little cheaper. I'm going to leave it. We'll see how that plays out. And pass the turn. Player 1 has no cards. They're going to draw. They draw Robin Hood, so that'll be nice. Right now, let's do it. So this was 3, 6. Feed the poor means we get to draw a card because our opponent has a card left in hand. Yeah, they're still holding the cannons. So we drew another Dragonfire. I think we've only got 2 ink left for this turn. So we're not playing that this turn, but that'll be nice. Good shot means during your turn he's evasive, but that is not defensive. That just helps him pick off opposing evasive creatures or characters, which player 2 doesn't have. Mickey should be ready, and Donald can attack, but if he attacks, it has to be Hercules because of Bodyguard. That would finish off Hercules, but it also finish off Donald. But I think we have to do that because we need Mickey then to take out Elsa because he doesn't want to be frozen every turn, so we have to take her out. And her attack is 2, so that's going to put 2 damage onto Mickey, unfortunately. Could have ignored it and quested and then hoped to Dragonfire Elsa next turn. Yeah, you know what? Let's do that instead. So we're going to leave that. We're going to quest with Mickey instead and go up to 8 and just let them freeze Mickey for a turn. So player 2 gets to ready and draw 1. That's going to be the wardrobe. Now we have the cannons, but again, 3 damage is not enough, so we're just going to freeze. So Elsa's ability just has that exert symbol, so we don't have to pay any ink for that. Just going to freeze, exert. Oh, exert an opposing character. I actually assumed that would stop Mickey from questing, but I don't know if that's true. This might be a purely offensive ability because you can exert Mickey, or you can exert a character to then challenge them, because since you can't challenge a ready character. I don't know if you're allowed to use this on your opponent's turn. Yes, I just looked back through the rules. Again, if they're final, assuming they're final, it specifically says you use abilities only on your own turn. So this isn't like some other games where you might do something at instant speed. That is not an option. So freeze is purely offensive. You can exert an enemy creature in order to be able to challenge it, but otherwise that is not going to stop Mickey from questing. And we're not going to be able to challenge him because he's evasive. So we need 2 copies of Fire the Cannons to prevent him from just taking over the game. And now our opponent has Robin Hood as well. So I'm going to use Magic Mirror to draw. I had to pay 4 ink for that and exert the mirror. Draw another card. We got the White Rabbit's Pocket Watch. So this can be exerted and 1 ink spent to give a character rush, which is okay. Not bad. And I think the wardrobe is going to become ink. So, and then for the remaining 2, I've got nothing I can do. We can attack Robin Hood. Robin Hood is a quest of a lore of 2. It's going to help our opponent take over the game pretty quickly if we don't take him out. But if we do, we're losing both of our characters. It doesn't feel good. I'm just going to quest twice. Use Isma's ability. We definitely don't need another magic mirror, so let's send that to the bottom and pass. So player 1 can ready and draw. Now they don't have to worry about Elsa at all, but they still have the Dragonfire they could use. I may as well play Belle, just have another body on the board. And at this point, I think we're just questing. We definitely can outpace our opponent. So, you can Dragonfire if we want to. Sure. Just to solidify our stance here, we'll Dragonfire Elsa, banish her, and quest for 4 and 2, putting us up to 14. Do 1 more quest like that next turn and we win. Player 1 would win. So we'll switch over to player 2's last stand. See if they can get another cannons. They get another wardrobe instead, and that's not gonna cut it. Can they at least take out Robin Hood? That would prevent them from just losing. That feels really bad. But they can at least not lose immediately by playing Fire the Cannons to deal 3 and then challenge him. Lose Isma and take out Robin Hood. Oh no, Belle quest for 2 as well. So that's going to be it. Yep, nothing they can do. Play a wardrobe. You could have used the mirror to draw, but they probably wouldn't have been great. Yeah, Isma wouldn't have done the trick. That's what they would have drawn. So they just have to pass back. And then player 1 can ready. Oops, draw. Oh, and we drew Maleficent. She's a 7/5 for 9. I actually only have 8. and no other cards. So 2, 5, 8. Yeah, we can't even afford it, unfortunately. When you play this character, you may banish a character, or 1 ink away from being able to play her, though. So we'll just quest for 4, 5, 6, and go up to 20. So player 2's deck didn't really work out. That low to the ground strategy, they try to play early characters and start questing right off the bat, but they weren't fast enough, and the Ruby Sapphire player was able to play some bigger characters earlier than they should have been able to, with a couple copies of 1 jump ahead, and that just slowed the Steel and Amethyst player down too much. So Mickey Mouse, the brave little tailor, takes over the game with some nice help from Aladdin as well as Robin Hood. So there you go, an early look at Disney Lorcana from Ravensburger. Again, all the caveats from the beginning of the video. Keep that in mind. We'll see what cool and interesting and powerful decks come out when the game releases in August. And not to brag, but the game actually did play pretty smoothly. There's a lot of interesting strategy going on. There's some unique dynamics going on, having a quest-focused win condition rather than attacking-focused, but within the framework of games that I've played that and does involve a lot of attacking. So stay tuned for other cool games on my channel, as well as more Lorcana as we get closer to or after the release. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and bye.